Today on the Euro Truck Podcast, the Dacia Sandero returns on Amazon Prime UK in early 2016. Blizzard announces their new expansion for World of Warcraft called Legion, and Hi-Rez Studios announced a new free-to-play online shooter called Paladins. Hello and welcome to the Euro Truck Podcast with Andrew C.
And Jefferson B.
And this week, Freelance is in a whole bunch of pain, and Dr. Ubershadow made me angry by saying literally a bunch of times. And he, not actually angry, just peeved me a little bit. So
they were off slaying too many dragons, and so that's why Freelance took an arrow to the knee. And Ubershadow is in the process of learning his words for his dragon shouts, so he will be back next week. Hopefully.
Exactly. As long as he doesn't say literally again.
I mean, he was working really hard on those shouts. That's really the big thing. You know, you gotta get those shouts down, or else you're just not gonna master Skyrim.
I would assume that is
hot
true.
Air balloon, hot air balloons.
I did see that.
Plural.
I did see.
It's a flock of hot air balloons.
A flock? Is that how that is? That are you sure it's not a gaggle?
Might be a murder.
A murder?
Have you ever
I like a
been
gaggle. A
You
gaggle's
been
my
near a
favorite.
hot air balloon, man?
I have never been
You
in a
roast
hot
a
air
whole lot
balloon.
more than marshmallows on those things.
That's true. You probably could.
Woohoo! My goodness, I'll tell you.
I wonder if you could just set them up on a bunch of sticks, put them in like kind of like those fisherman pole things,
Yeah.
like with the unattended fisherman fish pole,
Oh yeah.
and just see if it'll roast them underneath without any effort.
That would be interesting.
End
That'd
of
be
your ride, you get to have some s'mores.
Yeah, I mean, it would be definitely something to do if you're not driving on the ground. But speaking of things that are driving on the ground, Andrew C, you want to talk about some above average hub-based news?
Hub-based news? Yeah, I got some great news. The Dacia Sandero's coming back. And it turns out they've been picked up by Amazon Prime UK. So, in case you've been missing your doses of Top Sprocket, never fear. They will be returning to your computer screen and maybe your TV screen. Who knows? In early 2016, which is earlier than I expected. So it's only 6 or 7 months away total. Probably, I imagine they probably might do like a late Christmas special, which would be kind of an interesting way of coming back. When I say late Christmas, I mean like they do a Christmas special, but it comes out in like March, and call it the Christmas special.
Early 2016 is always one of those weird ideas where it's like early, so Q1, Q2.
Right.
Do you mean May, for all intents and purposes, is considered early?
Yeah. Do you have a weird world where September is early 2016?
No idea.
I would kind of hope not. That would seem a little bit wonky if it was.
Yeah. I am always a fan of above average transmission. I find it interesting that of all the people, Amazon, the least likely to be sued or throttled by other people's bandwidth, has been the ones to pick them up.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. Yeah. I really believed the whole Netflix thing. It really felt like that.
So yeah, we look forward to second place gear shifter coming soon.
Yeah, exactly. They did confirm that there was going to be 3 series at least. So that's 3 years of.
We're going to Luxembourg, or we're going to Dijon Mustard, right?
We're going to Dijon Mustard. Yep.
All right, sounds good.
So it is good to know that there's at least 3 series worth of Top Sprocket coming. So, anyway, moving right along.
Yep, moving right along.
The Blizzard is coming soon.
Blizzard's coming soon.
Blizzard's coming soon. They're gonna dump a bunch of WoW expansions on us.
Should I brace myself because the winter is coming?
Perhaps you should.
No.
They said. Full disclosure, we record this on a Monday. They said that on Thursday of this week, which would be yesterday, that they were going to announce the new World of Warcraft expansion that's going to come out sometime. I don't think they said when.
But Didn't they just launch an expansion?
Yeah.
That just doesn't sit right. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that. We could do a whole podcast on why this is or is not a good idea. That'll be a talk probably for another day.
Yeah, some people weren't very happy about it, but this was the typical Blizzard style of an announcing an announcement. So Thursday of this week, which would be yesterday for you watching, there should be information already out available about it. Hopefully it's not just an announcement telling you about an announcement that's an announcement for an announcement, because that gets pretty meta.
That gets pretty complicated. Could we say that if there is a link to an announcement, we'll probably post it down in the doobly-doo?
Yes, definitely we'll post it in the doobly-doo. And there's also, coming up on Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, there will be a WoW developer chat that'll be happening. So we'll be able to watch that and see more information about what's coming up with that, above and beyond whatever they announced yesterday.
All right. So, well, even as a non-WoW player, this is always exciting. Here's hoping for the best, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see. In the past, we talked about Smite's gaming convention-y thing. Not convention. Championship.
Championship. That's
the championship that's coming up in July. But their developer, Hi-Res Studios, has pushed forth some new news. Turns out they're gonna make a free-to-play online shooter called Paladins. And they're an assortment of paladins that you play as. It's got strategy elements and character progression through some decks of ability boosting cards. And then
how do you create a card system with an FPS? I assume that with a shooter. I assume that there's like a teaser out or something like that.
I didn't see one. There was just information. They didn't release too much. They released what all the characters looked like, but that was it.
Like, how does one integrate ability cards? Because when I think of ability cards, I think of something like Hearthstone, or another one of those games that just like cards make sense. This one, I'm not even sure stickers would make much sense in this type of a campaign. Thank you, Super Smash Brothers. You little known feature.
It does seem quite odd. It kind of feels like maybe it's one of those things where you collect the cards, and by having the full set, it unlocks an ability that you don't have without the cards.
True, and I mean, I guess we're using the term cards in a very general sense here.
Yeah.
I think, like, Destiny has Grimoire cards. Like, that's a thing. Their purpose is to give you story and lore, but at the same time, like, they're not really cards in the traditional sense. They're more like data chips.
Right. That's very possible.
So, I mean, this maybe when they think of cards, they think of something that's more like Paladins. So I'm assuming some sort of like mid to high fantasy. So you're talking about like, a book page or something along those lines. And I think it's a lot easier to fantastically imagine when you think of it more in that vague sense. But nevertheless, like, I mean, Hi-Res has done great work with Smite. They're about to do their console release, and so that's very exciting. We definitely look forward to them. I'm always a fan of free-to-play games, mainly because of free and cheap, which maybe we'll make a comeback for. Maybe we'll make a special episode just for Paladins. I don't know. We'll see. I always like the idea of... I picked up more shooters recently. Like, I just recently picked up Borderlands 2 after, like, months. It was actually the first time I ran it on my gaming PC and wasn't running it on my Mac. It was... gorgeous. Oh my. Okay, so I have an NVIDIA card in this. I have a GTX 660 and PhysX, one of the few cards that has PhysX. Oh my goodness, it's a particle effects coprocessor, and my goodness, does it make it's just eye candy. This is just icing on the metaphorical cake at this point. Oh my. You just need to see some test footage of it. It was great. It really was great.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's always nice when you get to play a game that you've played somewhere else on a less than optimal platform.
Correct.
And then seeing it on a better graphics machine, because it is totally different.
Yeah.
I know seeing...
Well, it was great because I could just crank, like, everything was on high. Because the game itself, it's old enough now to where, like, you can really appreciate the full high-def quality of the game.
Yep.
Which is interesting, actually. Games today are made to be appreciated in their fullness, at least for the PC, in, like, 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
They are not fully appreciated at launch. Like, GTA 5 will never look its best, even with, like, current, like, Titan Black rigs.
This is true. This is really true, because most games are really overbuilt in what's available. So you have to go above and beyond to play some games on max settings. So, and in a few years when you have even more powerful machines, max settings becomes nothing to it.
Correct.
So, yep.
Hey, we're going to Dijon mustard, right?
Yes, we are.
Why can't I find it? Oh. I'm going north.
Oh.
I appear to be going in completely the wrong direction.
You're going
I'm headed towards, like, Dortmund and Osnabrück.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
That is, it is totally the opposite
Tell you
direction.
What, when you get there, let me know and I'll fast travel to you.
Okay.
I just noticed that. I'm like, I really should be seeing an exit sign for this right now. Nope. Speaking of things that are quite unfortunate, Andy, you want to take this one?
Yeah, turns out that in one of the recent patches of League of Legends that brought the Bilgewater event, which is a whole bunch of things to do in challenges in League of Legends, and they're not, I don't believe that they were difficult, they're more like achievements, I think, but they have the ability to unlock a skin at the end, and part of this involved the flooding of the ARAM map, and now it is a slightly different map with different textures, and it is a very nice looking map, but I did have one consequence. Misfortune has brought upon Gangplank a sudden drowning death. And as a result, they actually deleted his lore and made him completely unavailable for competitive and casual play. So Gangplank currently is no more.
That's actually rather interesting. Like, I wonder, like what does this mean when a competitive game like League of Legends doesn't, like, removes viable and the favorite characters, especially of tournament players. Like, it removes them from play for a time because of the story.
Right. Exactly.
Like, okay, if there was a tournament to occur this weekend, so this video will come out on a Friday. If there was a tournament like Friday, Saturday, I mean, even next week, like, and if I had a guy that was specialized in Gangplank, like he just made it work.
Right.
He would now have to use a second.
Yep. So people for the past week or more has probably had that problem, where they could not. All the Gangplank mains.
How many Gangplank mains are there? I mean, okay, this is coming from a guy who's
no idea.
I'm a Victor main, so me and the 6 other of us who do. I mean, it is what it is.
They did say he is going to come back in probably the next patch. I think they said his character model, his default character model, will be changed a little bit. Where they discovered he didn't actually drown. He just lost an arm apparently. So well,
that's fortunate.
So he's going to come back with one mechanical arm and one real arm. So
I wonder if this means new abilities.
Very possible. There could be.
Because surely, I mean, the idea of including it's alchemical, like it's like an alchemical arm that he would be given. So
very possible. You never know.
I never know. This is Riot we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I did want to mention one more thing about the Paladins game. There is a beta that they're going to be doing for it, so if you want to be part of that beta, you can sign up at paladins.com.
I might do that actually after the recording of this podcast, because like I mentioned, I've been getting more into like the FPS world. It's just fun. It's starting to become fun.
I signed up for the beta because I figured, well, if you're not, don't sign up, you can never be part of it. So
right.
I'd rather sign up and never play it.
Right. And I mean, if anything, it'll be cool to get some early review footage out there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I can't imagine Hi-Res would make us sign in like an NDA or something, but we'll have to just dot our I's and cross our T's.
Right.
Speaking of things that are mechanical,
yeah,
and somewhat beta, the Pitboy, that wonderful, all-seeing heads-up display, arms-up display device from the Fallout universe. If you'll remember, last week we had talked about how there was an incredible machining shortage, and try as they might, there were is it Bethesda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bethesda was unable to get more of them tooled and more of them machined, and I mean, for whatever reason that may be, you know, there's any number of manufacturing faults that could occur, but the 3D printing community of all people, they've stepped up. This has been kind of an ongoing project. There was a Pitboy that was talked about a year and a half or so ago that was very 3D printable, but that one would have required you to integrate your own display. You couldn't have just slid in your phone. But now it appears as though they've taken all of the great things that we love about this new Pitboy, just slide in your smartphone, call it a day, and yeah, you can 3D print your own. I actually, right next to my computer monitor is one of my 3D printers. I've got another one that's a work in progress right now, and yeah, so I'm kind of excited for it. I don't know if I necessarily want to print it. I'm not a super huge Fallout player, but you know, that's something I can do, which is just one more reason why you should own a 3D printer, and why people who are into creative technology should just own 3D printers. They're so cheap nowadays. It's silly. So yeah, that's something that can be done, which is always fun.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how long, what the average print time is for that, because it's huge.
Well, tell you what, let me pull up the model.
So it's probably quite some significant amount of time.
Probably.
Would it be printed vertically, basically, with the hole? So the arm hole would be up and down instead of horizontal.
That's my understanding.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at the model right now, which is really interesting. Actually, it's a whole lot more complex than I thought it was. Yeah, so it looks like it would be printed in like a series of parts. So some would be printed vertically, some would be printed horizontally.
Okay, and then you assemble them all later.
Yeah. The beauty of working with most 3D printed plastics is they fit together with super glue.
Right.
I mean, and it's like a thermochemical type of weld, so it's not something that's like, oh yeah, you just glue it together. It's like, no, literally, you fuse plastic together by gluing it. Yeah, it's a complex build, but it's very doable.
Yeah, especially for a product that you can't buy anymore.
Exactly.
So, or at least you can't buy at a reasonable price.
Yeah, I think that's really the big thing. Is like, you know, it's something that cannot be remade right now, which is always fascinating.
Oh dear, I'm running out of fuel.
Oh man, I have fuel for days.
I do too if I go back to my garage, but I apparently have grossly not paid attention to my fuel gauge. I've also gotten a bit lost. My GPS was taking me to E Acres, which is not actually in Dijon, but I didn't actually see where Dijon was to be able to drive to it instead. Like, I haven't found the town yet.
Well done.
So I'm kind of lost.
Speaking of things that were kind of lost in the design there, Prison Architect.
Yeah, it's been in early access since September of 2012.
My goodness, it's a long time.
That's a long time to be in early access, and they've had 35 alpha releases in its product lifetime. And
this is like Gmail levels of beta, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, oh, we forgot to take the beta label off. Sorry, or in this case, the alpha label. So, but it's finally coming out of early access now, and I want to say in October. I believe that was when it said it was. This was important information that I forgot to write down. But
it's okay.
But so I mean, and it's a pretty good game. It's had a ton of functionality added to it over the years. I mean, that was when it started. It was really just more of a proof of concept. It had a lot of buttons for things that didn't do anything. You could install things that also didn't. They could put closed captioned cameras in closed circuit cameras into a building, and they did nothing. They're just there. Just decoration, really. And pretty much the last time I played it, everything worked that was implemented in the game from the beginning. So it's come a long way. So coming soon to the not early access store, Prison Architect.
Hooray.
Well, anyway, that is the news for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Euro Truck Podcast. Getting back to our roots a little bit here with Jeff and I. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button and then hit the describe button. Yeah, hit the describe button.
It really describes something.
Yeah. And hit that subscribe button on the other side, and you can check for the link to all that Blizzard stuff that got announced yesterday in the description down below, because we obviously don't know it yet. I can't read the future. Can you read the future, Jeff?
I try to, and it just fails miserably.
Well, of course. So that's how it is. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.